Kedu, I can't even say my name. You guys got me nervous. Oh God, I'm so sorry. Chiedozie Ogbene from Chumar Athletics, the Republic of Ireland.
Chio, you're a history maker. You were the first African-born player to play for the Republic of Ireland. I've no doubt you won't be the last. Can you take us right the way back to your very earliest memories of even growing up in Nigeria?
I do remember quite a bit of Nigeria. We moved to Ireland in 2005, December time. And I remember the time my mom told me, because my dad works, he was here, he's a nurse, and he got a nice job here, and he wanted to bring us over, give us the opportunity in the education. And I think it was a strange, because obviously I think I was 8 at that time. There was no build-up, and I was out playing. So my older brothers, I have 2 older brothers who will know the build-up. I was just out, and I come home, and my mom said, we're moving. I said, well, we're moving downtown. I said, no, we're going abroad. Obviously, I wouldn't have heard of Ireland, 8-year-old just running around. So I remember waking up at 6 a.m. and we were gone, and that was the end of that. We drove from Enugu State to Lagos, and it took us about 11 hours in total to get there. And I was on a plane for the first time. It was very strange. Imagine I landed at Holland, and being honest with you, I think it's the second time I seen white people. So you can imagine why 8-year-old mouth open, just looking at people, and it was quite interesting.
Life in Nigeria was a little bit difficult for me, because by then my husband was living in state of Kuwait, and I'm alone with 5 children, taking them to school, feeding them. When they are sick, I have to take care of them. So it wasn't easy for me.
Life in Nigeria was a bit hard. Yeah, it was a bit hard. There was loads of poverty, but there was also hope as well, and people working hard.
Life was free, as a kid. You just live free, nothing to worry about. You only think you're invincible, but that's pretty much it really, until we all got the news. Yeah,
I remember coming off the plane, and I saw my dad at the airport. My dad, he traveled a lot and went to Kuwait to study and got a nice job there. I think he's well driven. He's quite driven, like like his kids are, like I am. And he was desperate to give us the best opportunity in life. So I remember seeing him, because I didn't see him much as a kid. He was always coming and going. And as a 5-year-old, you don't remember much. You just remember you see him, and then you see your parent, you see your mom, and you just get on with life.
So when he gave me the idea to relocate to Ireland, I was so happy. I was so happy for my children to enjoy fatherhood.
Our dad got a job as a nurse in Ireland, in Cork, and with that, he could bring us over. So he took advantage of that, and the school system here was superb, so we took advantage of that in school as well, so we went to work.
I remember getting off that plane, the first welcome to Ireland was the cold air.
You just had that cold shiver.
It was horrible for us, but with time we adjusted to it.
I had to start for first class again. Nigeria, funnily enough, most people go to college at 16, which in Ireland was too young. They said that can't happen. So I had to go back and restart first class, which I completed already. I believe I was in 3rd class when I left, and I had to go back to first class. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I could pick up my English.
It was a new adventure for everybody. We're all trying to figure out where we are. Even at my age, I had to start making new friends. Him also had to start making new friends. With the outgoing personality he had, he didn't find it too difficult.
He was mixing up with children in our estate so much that every child comes to look for him. Even at a time when you come to look for Chiedozie, I will say, go away. He lets him finish his homework before he comes up. Before you know it, Chiedozie will finish and sneak away to go and play with them.
The doors sometimes were locked to prevent him from going. It could be late, because the pathway to these 2 Corinthians, for example, was through the woods. for him. So our parents was very, anxious of him going out late.
I'd be outside for stupid hours, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in winter time. That's, very dark and it's cold, and my parents used to lock the back door because I always sneak out. And I think it got too much when I was sneaking out through the window to practice. I think
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Self-motivation for a young kid.
I'm a big fan of Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo. I think at the time Ronaldo was at United, and I just watch his clips every day on YouTube and go out in the backyard.
He had this urge and passion to improve himself. And when he saw something Ronaldo does and how effective it is, he would look at me and tell me, Uche, I need to go to Tremor. I need to go to Corinthians, to the pitch. I just need to go and just do this.
I think I was 11 years of age. I signed for Tremor Athletic. My older brother, Cody, he signed for Tremor and he was playing, and I go down and watch him, and I was a bit jealous, I was like, I want to be doing what he's doing. I want to run around. I want to feel part of a team. And he had training, and he'll tell me I have training, so I can't be here. And I was like, I want to have a schedule.
That's where it basically began, because he would see me go off training. I believe we're training like Tuesdays and Fridays, because we're only under 15s or 14s at the time. So it does, they would only play with the girls and the lads in the green. But after a while, he approached me like, he wanted to join.
So I signed for Tremor. I followed in his footsteps, and I signed for Tremor. And I was with Tremor for 5 years. Some fantastic years there, playing and, as a kid, winning some trophies, winning some divisional titles. And I think that's where it began. I started falling in love with the game.
From a young age, he'd call over to my house in the morning for when we played matches. He'd have to be over at my house like at 8:30, because we'd have to come down and put up the goals, put up the nets, corner flags, and he'd be running around with my son and one or two other people who'd come down to help.
When he started, I would say now that I played football, but I have 2 left feet. I was just gonna play for fun, but with Chiedozie, there was something different about him. He had the energy, the drive, and just the motivation from a young kid, and he just wanted to do better. And as he was running around like a lunatic in the grass, that just gave him more motivation to keep going.
I could see from talking to him, he was hungry. I always knew that was a kind of anything you ever heard or read about the best players, what was their trait? They're hungry. And you always knew he was hungry, he wanted to improve. If I said something to him, you knew he was tuned in and he could take it on board. Some kids, you could be talking to the wall with them, like in a nice way, if you know what I mean. Like they're just not gonna, they just want to play. But if you told him, look, they're pushing up, we'll go over the top, don't go offside, he never went offside. He was cute that way.
He was playing both Gaelic and soccer at the same time. So most of the time he was occupied, either going for training for Gaelic or going for training for soccer.
You were a great Gaelic footballer as well with Nemo Rangers. What are your memories of your time with Nemo, and how much of a sliding doors moment was there in your life where you could have actually been lining out for Cork in Gaelic football rather than for Cork City?
No, Gaelic was something I loved so much, and I think it was difficult to leave Gaelic football because I loved it so much. But I got to, I think it was 19, I just knew I couldn't sustain. It was not sustainable to play both sports. And I played many years, and I think Charlie McLaughlin was my PE teacher in Bunskull. And he brought me to Nemo for my first training session. And Peter Noonan, funny enough, Session Noonan's dad was my manager, and he was my neighbour, so I remember he used to always bring me to training. And he used to get really upset. He used to say well, obviously he tells me now, but he never told me when I was younger. I used to get really upset because I would alternate both sports, because I was a people pleaser. I was trying to keep everyone happy. Sometimes I go, sometimes I don't. And I remember he used to, always beg me, trying to trick me with like a chocolate bar that if I come with him, he's bribing me. If I come, he'll give me a chocolate bar, and we make fun and jokes about it. But Gaelic football was, I played all the years, and I think I got to, I think 18, 19, and I had to decide.
During the time that he had to choose between Gaelic or soccer, that was very difficult for him. And I saw that. Unfortunately,
he had decisions to make, but you'll always have decisions to make when you're good and everybody wants you,
It was a tough time. He cried on it, and I just told him, do you know what? It's your decision only to make, nobody else's. Nobody got you here other than yourself. You decide what path you want to take.
The people that came to me or was advising me is for him to play Gaelic, but he preferred soccer. So I was telling them that I'm not the one playing the football in the field. He is the one. So the one he prefers, I will support him.
He also knew that he wanted to pursue a career that could also provide for his family one day. And he had that in mind. So soccer gave him that, that window. He knew he was good in both, but that was the determining factor for him.
He loved the soccer, I think. I think just the soccer won out for him. And you have to take into account, he didn't have an easy ride. It wasn't like he was a superstar and he went to England. He didn't go to the Manchester City Academy or anything, you know. He had to go play for Cork City, fight to get on the team.
So whenever he retires from football, he can always go back playing it's the junior A's or junior B's in the Nemo. So that's about that really.
Your heritage is a very personal thing, and nationality can be both a personal thing, but also something that can split and divide people. Was it a straightforward decision for you to play for Ireland?
I'm gonna be honest with you, it was not. It was not as straightforward because I know, as I said, I wanted to make my father proud, and I know how, a really, proud Nigerian he is, and all his life was in Nigeria, so he saw everything in Nigeria, so I wanted to make them proud, and I think Mr. Stephen Kenny was back and forth with me. And I said, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not an easy decision to make. I need to think about it, I need to sit with my family. My parents were both supportive, they wanted the best for me. So it was my decision. I know they were very happy that Eileen came in, they were pushing me to go. But secretly as a son, you wanna make your parents proud. And I felt at that time, maybe choosing from Nigeria wouldn't make them proud, but I think they were proud either way. I think they were over the moon, and now they look back on it, they're the happiest parents that I chose Ireland because they can come and watch the games and they always be there. So
he would, to a great extent, call Ireland his home because the core memories he's established as a teenager were here. So to represent Ireland was to represent all those people that gave him support.
It was not difficult, but it is, because the father wanted him to play for our country. But I told him that you grew up here. You don't know anybody in our country. So it's better you play with people you grew up with. So, and the siblings encouraged him to play with them. So we won the father.
How do you reflect on your debut, that game against Hungary, which is, an incredible achievement for anybody to play international football? But at the same time, I don't know, do you reflect that it was, I don't want to say tarnished, but because of the racist abuse that was in the stadium that night, we do look back at that game, I think a lot of horror as to what happened. How do you sort of, a year and a bit on, think back as to what that night was like for you and your family?
Oh, I remember when we took the knee, and there was a lot of whistling, all booing. And I think that gave me a drive in my gut. And I think when we took the knee, because we could have easily not taken the knee to avoid those situations. I think by us taking the knee, we're showing an example to the world what we're trying to do, and we're leaving the past behind us. And I think I would hope that they learn from that. And I think I took huge, I almost got emotional because how everyone was together and we all decided to take the knee. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I was quite nervous because I was quite nervous what the reaction would be.
I think that had some effect on him with the fact that he knew being the firstborn African to represent his country, that was a big thing for him, and he was very proud of that. So that kind of clashed with his emotions with that regards, and I would think that affected him to some level, and I think that's why he spoke out about it.
When I knew we were changing for the good is when Seamus Coleman pulled me and he said, no matter what, we're taking the knee. And it's when the other guys who were fighting for your cause are pushing you the most is when you get really emotional and you know what it means to you. And I think that was the highlight of the night, when everyone stood together no matter what. And I was hoping I'd come on and score really, but to make my debut, I don't think about that. I just think about the occasion. It was a special occasion for me. I think it was my first camp, and I'm trying to impress, and I think it was the best camp I've been in and what we're trying to achieve. And fast forward a year later, that all started from that camp. And I'm truly blessed to be where I am.
Representing Ireland and becoming the first African-born player to represent Ireland, what does that mean to you? Does it mean something different? Do you feel the weight of the community that you're representing when you pull on the jersey?
I think you don't understand the amount of how proud I am, the honor and the pride it fills me with. I remember playing, I came on against Hungary, and Kevin pulled me and said, "You're the first African-born player." I couldn't believe it. I do know Paul McGrath and all these players, have come, but he said, "You're the first born African player." It's not unheard of. So it was a huge pride, moment for my family. I can imagine, calling my mother and my father how they felt.
I was a very proud brother, I tell you that now. It was a very proud moment for the whole family. We're all here cheering on.
Yes, you're proud that he's played for Ireland, but you're proud that he's a good young man too,
No, I think he's a really great role model for kids, for Irish kids, and he really demonstrates that in his actions. But yeah, it's very humbling to be known as Chiedozie brother. Very, very humbling.
That destiny can be delayed but not changed. The way he was doing it is his destiny.
I think it was something special for me to carry that burden, to show the way to the next generation. And it just shows what kind of nation we are in. We're trying to integrate, we're trying to move forward from what used to be the past, and it's just amazing what kind of players we have here, and the kind of culture we're trying to bring. And I can remember making that phone call. My mom was over the moon. She was tearing up on the phone, and my cousins all reached out from Nigeria, how proud they are. So I think we're joining forces now. We've joined forces, but it's it was a special moment.